Hey, MLSListings subscribers and really anyone else who's tuning in today. We're back for another podcast, and we're thrilled to have our guest, Fernando Pena, the Government Affairs Director with SAMCAR, the San Mateo County Association of Realtors. Fernando, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you. Thanks so much. It's been a while. We have you on, I think it was at least 6 months ago. I know, or maybe even longer when we were talking about the previous legislative day. And so, legislative day, we're just coming off of it really, about 3 weeks or so ago. I think it was April 30th. And it was a 30-year Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act kind of anniversary, right? So kind of had a little extra importance as we kind of went into it. And I was lucky enough, Samcar, you guys, I should say a big thank you to you guys let me tag along. It was my first legislative day. And so I love to see the whole process and how it went and, how the day unfolds. And we got to talk to, got to talk to some senators there, some state assemblymen. I know I saw Diane Papp there, Mark Berman, I think Josh Becker. So I was thrilled to kind of take part, but we got some wins right off the bat, right? I mean, for those of I guess, that don't know how it works, you guys have a couple of kind of like hot sheets, right? That going to focus on, and two of the proposals, right, got pulled and got put back into committee, right from the start, which kind of tells you what the influence you guys have.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was a wonderful day, and we're glad you joined us. Glad you had a great experience. And you're right. Realtors scored two major victories right off the bat on legislative day. Uh, Thanks to the powerful presence of we had like 2,200 realtors descend on the state capitol. And as you mentioned, two of the most concerning bills we opposed were pulled from consideration right off the bat, even before we started talking to our legislative delegation. One, of course, was AB 1157, which would have imposed permanent rent caps, and AB 647, which would have been a top-down upzoning mandate threatening home ownership and accelerating gentrification. So those two were pulled from committee actually that day, and we had been prepared to talk to our legislative delegation about those two bills. And the CAR had provided us with some great talking points and how to engage our legislative members about those two bills. But now those two bills are what are known as two-year bills. So it's a major setback for their supporters, but a great win for California's future homeowners.
You hit the nail on the head. It really showed the influence because I know right from the beginning, and it being my first time there, and all of a sudden I saw, they pulled those, and that means so when they pull those and put them back in a committee, that pretty much puts those to like a setback for a couple of years, right? Or it's
Um,
not be.
yeah, they're essentially dead for the year. We do have to monitor any additions throughout the year, but they're essentially dead for the year. But being a two-year bill, they could come back at next session. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I've noticed having talked to you many times, and it is, we talked about it was the 30-year anniversary of Costa Hawkins, and it was great to see, before we went over and saw the assembly people and the realtors were able to go ahead and kind of lobby. It was nice to see we had the speakers such as Jim Costa, who was one of the founders of it, speak, and that was a kind of a cool moment. I didn't realize they had the whole band and kind of really got the energy going,
Yeah.
before we went over there. So it was kind of a nice
The
experience.
morning session is always really well orchestrated. We do have a band there, and some of them are volunteer realtors who are musicians, and we always have fun hearing from them. And as you mentioned, one of the authors of the original Costa Hawkins bill joined us, who is now in Congress, Congressman Costa, and was reminiscing about his time in the state legislature and when they came up with the original Costa Hawkins language. So it was great to hear from them, from him, and from some of the other speakers. And we also heard from Republican leadership. And I think it's great that CAR likes to balance their presentations from the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. So that was great. And yeah, it comes on the heels of a lot of momentum when Proposition 33 was defeated in November. and that was extreme rent control, and that really threatened Costa-Hawkins. And as a matter of fact, that ballot measure was defeated in every county in the state of California, and of course here in San Mateo by over 60%. So we sent a strong message to the lawmakers that were opposed to extreme rent control. So when Assemblyman Calra introduced AB 1157, it was kind of an insult to our members and to our voters who had just finished opposing, Prop 33 and defeating it pretty soundly. And for Assemblyman Calra to introduce AB 1157, which was an expansion of extreme rent control, we were glad to see that it was defeated in committee. And as I mentioned, we were prepared to lobby against it with our local delegation.
Awesome. Yeah. And it seems like every couple of years somebody takes a shot at Costa-Hawkins trying to repeal it? Is it pretty much?
When it appeared on the November ballot in 2024, that had been the third time in the last 4 election cycles that something that extreme had appeared. And unfortunately, it's extremely costly. CAR had to, put a lot of money in to defeat that ballot measure, and got all the local associations up and down the state to participate as well. It's very costly to the taxpayers, very costly to, our state trade association, and glad we were able to defeat it. And at the same time, the California Apartment Association introduced Proposition 34, which essentially penalized the AIDS Healthcare Foundation and its founder from future type of ballot measures, because it really penalized the use of taxpayer funds and healthcare related dollars to be sent towards ballot measures, which is against their mission statement. And I think we sent a really strong double message on Prop 33 and Prop 34 that, the voters aren't going to tolerate this kind of misuse of funds,
Right.
and, at the expense of voters and taxpayers.
Right. And, along those lines, you're talking about rent control and some of these, almost draconian kind of, bills. Let's pivot over to San Mateo County, and first off, let's go to what in the world's happening up in Half Moon Bay.
Yes.
Because I saw you guys. I know it's kind of a circle of the wagons there. We'll talk about Foster City as well, and San Mateo. But they decided to extended another year of rent control in their rental registry.
Yes. What happened at the recent city council meeting is they did revisit a rent control and the rental registry after receiving numerous complaints from housing providers, local mom and pops that have been severely impacted by both programs. Staff did a really good job, actually, of presenting data and information to the city council showing that the 2 programs are running at a taxpayer subsidy, nearly 58% taxpayer subsidy. So they're not bringing in enough money from fees and fines to cover their expenses. And we actually brought that up at the beginning of 2023 and 2024 when the previous city councils were thinking about rent control and rental registry in Half Moon Bay, and discussed that this is going to be very, very expensive, up towards $200,000 in a small city of 12,000 people, and at taxpayer expense. And sure enough, that's played out. It's a very expensive program, and for very limited participation, and very small amount of units. It doesn't solve the housing supply shortage in Half Moon Bay. It doesn't solve the issue of high prices in San Mateo County. The previous 2 city councils were hell-bent on getting something like this passed. I think they misconstrued the issue of protecting farm workers and providing very badly needed farm worker housing with farms and in the community, with an extension of going after housing providers in the city and extending rent control and a rental registry on top of that. So I think it was a misguided direction from the previous councils. Now, this council in 2025 had an opportunity to look at the data, look at the information, and I think it was a missed opportunity. They voted 3-2 to prolong it, as you said, for another year, rather than repealing both programs, which we felt was a better option to save the taxpayers, upwards of $200,000 a year. And really another argument was that a city the size of Half Moon Bay, these type of big city programs may not be suitable for a small town city like Half Moon Bay, and I think that's playing out. And I think it was a missed opportunity. And but staff has been also given some direction to continue to monitor this and continue to provide updated data and information to the council so they can make informed decisions in the future.
Oh, is the vice mayor that also has been talking about maybe imposing a vacancy tax as well to this rent control and registry they have going?
Yeah, the vice mayor, Debbie Reddick, at the same meeting discussed the possibility of looking into a vacancy tax. We, of course, are opposed to this for numerous reasons. And we just think, again, for a city the size of Half Moon Bay, for the number of small units available in the city, there are a lot of second homes for people who invest in Half Moon Bay, who go to Half Moon Bay on weekends or to enjoy their second homes and put money into the local economy, shopping in restaurants and various stores in Half Moon Bay, and then to penalize those people, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And the other thing that it hurts is it hurts longtime residents who own longtime properties. Those are family properties, family issues that in a lot of instances, it's people's nest eggs and their long-term investments. And they're already dealing with maintenance costs and dealing with mortgages, dealing with high property taxes, those type of things. So we just believe that a vacancy tax for a city like Half Moon Bay is probably misguided. We've asked our community members to get involved, to monitor this issue, to contact their city council members, and to have face-to-face discussions with them and kind of go over how impactful this will be to the local economy and to the local families and to local housing providers. And we just think it's not a very good idea.
If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube or Apple podcast channel so you never miss out on any future shows. From federal policies to local trends, we'll be talking with industry experts to keep you informed and up to date on matters that affect the real estate industry and your business. Available now, Oculus Web Widgets, convenient professional data for your marketing needs. Downloadable, interactive, and customizable charts and graphs. See 10 years worth of data for the city or zip code of your choice. Or build your own web widgets to add to your personal website. Generate leads and drive consumers to your website by downloading them today. Contact us at webwidgets@oculus.com to learn more about this exclusive benefit, only available to MLS Listings subscribers. SAMCAR, I mean, you guys already kind of beat back that proposal in Millbrae, right? Similar proposal.
Yes, we faced this a vacancy tax in 2023 in the city of Millbrae. And the council was really great there. They listened to our arguments. We did have a lot of realtors, a lot of housing providers show up at the council meeting. And actually, we were able to defeat it at the pre-planning stage, at the goal setting stage, before we even got to a committee, before we even got to a council vote. And we were able to demonstrate that they lacked the data and they lacked the community support for such a tax. And not only was it going to be a vacancy tax for homeowners, but it was also going to be a commercial tax for downtown commercial buildings and restaurants and other local businesses. So because of SAMCAR, we actually saved homeowners and retailers, thousands and thousands of dollars of taxpayer expense.
That's great. And San Francisco passed it too, but but didn't the court strike it down already? So it's already been defeated in the courts, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to give a lot of local governments pause. As you mentioned, in San Francisco, that vacancy tax has been challenged in court. And I think that gives us here on the peninsula and on the coast some ammunition to, well, not ammunition, but more information to share with the councils and say, this could be a liability for the cities, and you may want to have your legal teams look at this because, in San Francisco, it's already been questioned.
Moving to Foster City and San Mateo, I know there were some city council meetings, a few weeks ago as well. Was it more of a mixed bag at those, or kind of the same thing we're looking at Half Moon Bay?
Yeah, I think in San Mateo, staff had presented to the council various rent control and rental registry proposal, including increased relocation payments that would come on the backs of housing providers. They wanted a right to return after a substantial remodel, the relocation for red tagged units and a rent registry, and some type of rent control caps, those type of things. The city council was very receptive to hearing from both sides of the argument, and we made a very strong case, and we teamed up with the California Apartment Association. And at one of the local city council meetings, we had well over 60 homeowners, housing providers, realtors show up and argue against rent control and a rental registry. And SAMCAR and CAA, we approach this as, we're not just going to continue to fight rent control and rental registries for various reasons, but we want to provide and propose solutions. And one of the things that we talked about with the city manager and with the council is the need for an emergency rental assistance program to address issues related to non-payment and of rent and renter displacement in the city. And we did a fantastic job of doing that. And we actually used a Stanford study that showed that over 70% of displacement in San Mateo and I think in San Mateo County as well is due to the lack of rent payment. And cities need to become more creative in terms of how to address renter displacement. And we wanted to be part of that discussion of solutions. And we suggested a rental emergency program, and the city agreed with us, and they are looking at establishing an emergency rental assistance program. And I think it's better than imposing more rules and regulations on housing providers. And so we're proud that we teamed up with the California Apartment Association. SAMCAR did a fantastic job. A lot of our members were involved in discussions with the council member and with the city manager and with city housing staff. And I think we came up with a better solution.
Part of your guys' argument, right, was also that, not only the rental assistance, but there's a lot of resources already out there too, right? In terms of educating and better for both tenants and housing providers out there.
There's a lot of assistance through the county. There's a lot of legal aid assistance. There's also Project Sentinel from other cities where there's mediation, there's translation services, legal aid services. So yeah, we encourage the proponents to, also include those resources in their discussions when they're proposing these type of drastic regulations, to acknowledge the fact that there are resources already available to renters and landlords. And we also made a very good presentation about existing state laws. AB 1482 has been in law for about 3 or 4 years now. And it also offers rent protections for tenants and clear direction for landlords, as well as Senate Bill 567, which deals with extensive remodels and a notification for tenants for extensive remodels, those type of things. So we wanted to remind staff, we wanted to remind the proponents of rent control that there are existing state law that need to be abided by both renters and landlords, and they need to be honest about the resources that are available in here in the county and sometimes available through cities themselves.
One topic I wanted to briefly discuss with you too, Fernando, is I think this is a topic that I've been looking at a while. We were thinking about doing some shows on it, but it's maybe kind of under the radar. But that's the electrification kind of topic for the state and at the local level here, right? Because you guys have your own right, kind of is it a task force, right? That kind of looks at it as well.
Yes, we established electrification task force here at SAMCAR. It's chaired by our volunteer realtors, including Realtor Robert Pedro from Signature Realty, and we meet monthly, regularly with the Peninsula Clean Energy representatives and representatives from the County Office of Sustainability. We talk about while we're in agreement with the need for electrification for existing homes today and in the future, we do want to share our concerns with mandates, and we're opposed to mandates. We're opposed to what the then named Bay Area Air Quality Management District passed a couple of years ago, banning the sale of gas water heaters by 2027 and gas furnaces by 2029. They passed that regional measure ahead of the state law. The state law deals with their mandates and deadlines in the 2030s. But this regional body, which is now known as the Bay Area Air District, is working with local cities to encourage local cities to not only pass the REACH codes, but maybe look beyond the regional measure of 2027 and 2029. So our task force has been meeting with Peninsula Clean Energy and the County Office of Sustainability and with housing staff and with local lawmakers, saying that we oppose the state mandate, we oppose the regional mandate, and instead that to maybe get more participation in the future, maybe go to a volunteer program like solar is volunteer. And so what is happening on the local level now through Electrify San Mateo, which is a program that's been established by the city of San Mateo with a consultant and with housing staff, is to bring the climate action plan to fruition to the city. And that may include the participation of the Bay Area Air District's mandates of 27 and 2029. But I think they're trying to go beyond that with the REACH codes. I think we're okay with the ones that are on extensive remodels and for brand new buildings. They're working really hard with the commercial real estate sector on the building of new commercial buildings and with their REACH codes, and with commercial as well as residential remodeling industry on electrification of extensive remodeling. But I think where we draw the line is with existing homes. As you know, in San Mateo County, many of our homes are over 60 years old. And to mandate that our homes be electrified before 2027, there is a proposal by Electrify San Mateo. They have 5 policy proposals that they want to bring to the city council in June. And they are kind of shopping it around now with the commissions and allowing the public through community forums and organizations like SAMCAR and CAA to participate. And of course, the proponents of electrification to participate also on these 5 policy proposals. And one of them, which we opposed at the recent City Infrastructure and Sustainability Commission, is moving up the 27-29 regional measure to 2026 in 7 months. And we said, that it's just, that's really not going to be possible. Most of the city doesn't even know about what you're working on. There needs to be better communication with the residents of San Mateo. The commissioners agreed. So city staff is very receptive to our concerns. They have been receptive to our concerns about possible extensive costs beyond rebates and incentives. We've also been concerned about the type of people that this may impact, including seniors, people on fixed income, of color. Um, there could be a divide between the working poor and the middle class in terms of who qualifies for rebates and incentives. We've shared some concerns about, we believe through surveys that SAMCAR conducted a couple of years ago with contractors that show that there may be additional costs beyond just a replacement of a gas water heater or a gas furnace, including panel upgrades, rewiring, knocking down walls, all those type of things that construction costs may add to a cost of electrification. So we've shared those concerns, we've shared those costs. Santa Clara County has done a recent updated survey and shows even more extensive costs beyond rebates and incentives. So we want to make sure that housing staff is aware of our concerns, and they have been. They've included it in their initial report that they'll send to the council. But in our future discussions with the council members, we will also be bringing up those concerns. So I think all in all, we are there to advocate on the behalf of homeowners and housing providers and small apartment unit multifamily homes that will also be impacted. And of course, the California Apartment Association will be advocating on behalf of the impact to larger multifamily units.
Meet with the MLS Listings team via Zoom each month for the open forum. Held the last Tuesday of the month at 2 o'clock. Join Mark, Dave, Robert, Tom, and all your MLS Listings favorites to get time-saving tips and tricks, or to ask questions that you want answered. For insight from those inside the MLS, don't miss the open forum. Check for the registration link on the Pro homepage announcements, or via email from the MLS Listings team in the weeks leading up to the event. Shows that really importance. I think you guys have kind of highlighting it because, like I said, there are concerns about, between the grid reliability, rebates for the working poor sounds great, but, mentioned at the expense of certain in the middle class, overall costs, incurred to the homeowner, as well as other groups. And then there's always this, and I don't know, to me, the mandate to 2026 was it? Basically before it seems just unrealistic. And it seems like, that's a topic that I don't think a lot of maybe people are too familiar with. It's not in the news maybe every day. So I'm glad you guys are putting kind of a highlight on that. But, Fernando, we talked a lot about the local level. So, Half Moon Bay. And I know you got some things going on at the state level and beyond, right? And so I know you're going to be at NAR in a week. Is that right?
Yes, but before I talk about NAR, there was one more regional issue. I know I talked about the Bay Area Air District, but we have also been engaged with, and we're trying to get the California Apartment Association's involved, but the California Association of Realtors to help the local associations here in the Bay Area, the 9 Bay Area County. We're dealing with an issue with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, who are now, there's an emerging threat from a regional level that may have negative impacts on rental housing, including single-family rental homes. And these threats impact all the cities in the Bay Area. And again, we're talking about unfounded mandates that may require cities to pursue additional regulations that again exceed state law, that are being developed by MTC staff through MTC's transit-oriented community TOC policy. So we're really concerned about TOC policy and the regulatory framework that's being created for local jurisdictions that we believe may be beyond the mission of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and that is trying to tie transportation funds to rent control or rental regulations or tenant protections. And we just believe that that kind of policy is a threat to homeowners, and it goes beyond their mission. And so we're trying to open up a dialogue between all the stakeholders in trying to hold the MTC accountable to, trying to tie these transit funds to local cities who may be forced to look into tenant protections and rent control policies that are really more policy issues that should be debated at the council level, not be mandated with unfunded mandates by a regional body, and really going beyond state law too, which is, I think, an affront to local control.
Right, right. Yeah, fantastic. And was there anything else, any other issues you want to bring up, Fernando?
But no, well, there's plenty more to go through, but yeah, well, SAMCAR's pretty involved in the local, working with local jurisdictions. Fortunately, we have a great realtor base here, a lot of great volunteers. We have up to 3,000 members that we can rely on to lobby the local councils and the local regional bodies. And we're working very closely with the other 9 Bay Area local associations. So tens of thousands of local realtors and affiliate members that you can lobby these local jurisdictions about possible impacts to private property rights and housing affordability and the need for greater housing supply rather than more onerous regulations.
Saw it firsthand when the 2,200 that showed up at legislative day. When realtors get together and stand up together in one voice, it really does make a difference. Now you're gonna be over at NAR, is it in a week or two, or?
Yes, I'll be joined by several realtors representing SAMCAR in Washington, D.C. at the 2025 NAR legislative meetings. And that'll be in Washington, D.C. It'll be held from May 31st to June 5th. And I'll be joined by Michael Verdone, Sue Walsh, Jessica Eva, Linda Cross Anderson, and Frank Vella. And it's really a great opportunity for realtors from all over the nation to descend on Washington, D.C. And now we're talking about tens of thousands of realtors who will meet for a week of legislative meetings, business meetings, and of course, legislative visits and talk about 2025 legislative priorities.
Yeah, no, you do a great job, Fernando, as the GAD over at SAMCAR, and really highlighting a lot of these issues. And for all the realtors out there who maybe want to get involved, it obviously is so important. Showing up at these city council meetings and just kind of getting involved. They can also, if they don't have the time to do that, you guys have a Realtor Action Fund as well, right? That makes a big difference.
We do, and we encourage all our members to participate in our RAF Realtor Action Fund, and the monies that go into that are split evenly between CAR, NAR, and SAMCAR. But locally, it goes into our local impact funds where we're able to draw money to fight bad ordinances, bad policies, and also to our political candidate action fund where we support candidates in local races. Primarily at the city council, mayoral, and board of supervisor level. CAR handles the state assembly and the state senate races, and of course NAR for congressional races. So we're really a trifecta of realtor organizations that work on behalf of our membership to protect private property rights, promote homeownership, and also to encourage greater supply for affordable housing and for sale housing.
And then they can go get more. I saw your website's got some more if they want to learn more or get a part of the Realtor Action Fund. And you guys also post articles as well. I've noticed, kind of talking about some of these what we've talked about today, kind of keeping everyone up to speed on what's going on because there's a lot.
Yes, we encourage our members to visit samcar.org for more information about how to get involved on committees, learn more about how to participate in the RAF fund, and also read up about some of our articles on some of the local issues we're working on. We also have a weekly newsletter that's available to the community, available to our members. It's called The Relay, and it goes out every Wednesday. A great newsletter put together by our editor, and I contributed to that, as well as Dalen Gilbrick. Here, our brand communications director does a great job putting that together. And great opportunity to keep up to date with what we're working on.
Keep fighting the good fight, Fernando. You guys do everyone a great big thank you to all the people at SAMCAR. And again, thanks for having me and letting me tag along with you
Oh,
at the legislative day. I'm looking forward to next year already. But I hope you come back maybe in a few months and give us an update. I know, it seems like there's always something going on. You got a lot of stuff going on. We'd love to maybe just keep us informed and what's going on at the local, and at the state and regional level. So,
yeah,
uh,
maybe I can come back and give you an update on our legislative priorities, what we discussed with the Congress, including, building more, encouraging them to focus on building more housing supply and providing opportunity for all. And then we're also encouraging them to support bills that deal with, our self-employed professionals or independent contractors and advocate for healthcare access for independent contractors and take advantage of some of our National Association of Realtor research products that help inform policymaking. And really, this comes on the heels of some good news last night where Congress or the House passed the budget resolution package. And a lot of that in that bill retains the current tax rates while including a range of NAR supported provisions that our NAR lobbyists have been working on, and including increasing the business income deduction and quadrupling the SALT deduction. We've heard from a lot of our local members that the increase in the SALT deduction was extremely important for a blue state like California.
right.
All of us who own expensive homes and in the area have been hurt by the $10,000 limit. As you heard, the House passed, or actually quadrupled that limit to 40,000 last night.
40,000, I saw that.
And hopefully the Senate will pass their version I believe they'll have to do it before July 1st so they can get it to the president before the 4th of July weekend. So we remain hopeful there. And so a lot of great things in that bill that NAR supported. And we'll also be talking to the local Congress members delegation about some of NAR's, in addition to tax priorities, our legislative priorities. So I'll be happy to give you an update on that.
Wonderful. Yeah, thanks again. Fernando Pena, the Government Affairs Director at SAMCAR. Fernando, we'll definitely see you soon. Keep up the good work. And for everybody tuning in, thanks so much for tuning in. And hope to see you soon on our next podcast. Fernando, thanks so much.
Thank you for MLS listing support of our association, and thank you for your time.